Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the member for support for this amendment. We are discussing the amendment made by the leader of the Green Party to add 16 days to this motion that has come forward on a permanent calendar. And I have spoken countless times to the need for a permanent calendar in this House. And I know that the member for Fredericton-Lincoln was speaking about this before I was even elected to this House. Having a permanent calendar is something that benefits the members of this House, but more importantly, it allows them to schedule meetings with their constituents and plan in advance. And this is important, to have some level of predictability, to be able to keep the meetings that we're scheduling with our constituents and others that we're meeting with. And what's proposed in this calendar motion is essentially what we had in place under the previous Conservative government at the end. They didn't make it permanent, but we had 24 days scheduled for the fall sitting, 24 for the spring, totaling 48 days. And that is what this whole government wants to continue with. And what we're suggesting is adding 16 days. We could come and sit in February instead of in March. And this is actually what used to happen, Madam Speaker. The House, the Legislative Assembly in New Brunswick used to sit for around 64 or 65 days. We're proposing that 64 days. And I think that is a good thing. It actually changed under the Gallant Liberals, so just the last decade, in the long history of the House, just the last decade, we saw that the number of days was reduced significantly. And I've seen some of the results of that. I've definitely seen that obviously we have fewer days to be in the House, to have routine business, to hold the government accountable with our statements, with our questions, and the work that we do here. But it has put a time crunch on governments wanting to get their bills through. Ideally, there's collaboration and amendments that can happen, and it would be, the whole House considering legislation and not just a government trying to push their bills through. But ultimately, we've seen closure motions that limit debate. We've seen night sittings, which inherently aren't bad necessarily, but often scheduled at the last minute or at least threatened. And this creates a lack of predictability and stress. And I'm not even just talking about the people in this House who may have family obligations, caretaking, other things like that, other things scheduled, but the workers, the translators, all the people who help this House to function. And so the threat of night sittings, the threat of sitting till midnight is a new one, is kind of a bargaining chip, and filibustering is another tool that ends up getting used. And again, inherently, filibustering can be used effectively for important things. There's a time and place for it. I don't know if the time and place is every day, every bill, to create that time pressure. But that's what happens. We don't have enough days for the government to even get their work done, for us to, and for the legislature to get the work done, to examine the bills, to ask the questions, and it ends up creating the situation where we've seen it multiple times for debate to be limited, for there to be closure, which creates a situation where bills might not even get to committee. Bills might not get fully debated, and that's unacceptable. That's our job. And so we are proposing adding 16 sitting days, extending the spring session by a bit, to ensure that there's more time for us to do the important work here in the legislature that we want to see in a robust, functioning democracy of debate and accountability. And I didn't hear the government member who spoke address the amendment. And so I'm not sure how the government's going to vote on this. But I do hope that they will support this amendment, as it sounds like folks on this side of the House are going to ensure that we have more days to do the important work that needs to be done to serve New Brunswickers. Alors, je suis content d'avoir finalement un calendrier fixe, permanent, mais je veux voir davantage de jours ici pour faire le travail très important. Alors, l'amendement, c'est d'ajouter 16 jours à notre calendrier et j'espère que le gouvernement va appuyer l'amendement. On verra bientôt. Mais ça nous aidera à vraiment assurer qu'on a assez de temps pour débattre, pour examiner, demander des questions et tenir à compte le gouvernement pour leur action, pour leurs idées. Alors, comme je disais, c'était le cas historiquement qu'on était ici pour plus de journées, pour environ 64 jours. Alors, nous voulons retourner à cet calendrier, d'être ici plus durant l'année pour faire notre travail. Alors, merci pour l'opportunité, Madame la Présidente, de parler à l'amendement. Et je vais, c'est clair, je vais l'appuyer. Merci.